A man tied a nylon rope to the car tire and tightened it with all his strength. Then he immediately turned and sat in the hot air balloon with two girls he had recently met. As the balloon rose above the ground, one of the girls felt something strange. When she expressed her doubts, the rest of the companions were also shocked, and at the same time her companion also started looking at the man with disbelief, because the man had not tied the other end of the rope to the air basket, which made the balloon go higher and faster. Because of this, a quarrel started between the two, and they started fighting for years. Then the girl saw a scary sight. The balloon was slowly moving towards the sharp fan. Everyone understood that if it was not stopped, the wings would cut them into a bundle of meat in minutes. Meanwhile, Paul, who was in a little consciousness, immediately turned the gas up to the maximum and quickly bent down and tied the safety belt to his body. Now, all around could only pray that the balloon would not fall due to the dose of gas, with high happiness and saved from this crisis. But even after a lot of time has passed, the situation is not as they imagined. Just when she breathed a sigh of relief, a corner of a fan blade was ripped off, and the man was also shocked by it and hung out. Now the balloon looked like pieces of flowers in the air. But luckily, the basket gradually stabilized, and the other three people were saved. But a piece of wood had penetrated Paul's thigh artery. Seeing Paul bleeding to death, Jenny, who was nearby, became very worried. She immediately took off her shirt and tied it over the wound, which stopped the bleeding and gave Paul some relief. Then Paul asked Janice to turn off the gas valve, because if they were to rise, they would die of cold or brain failure due to lack of oxygen. Just then, Jenny heard a familiar voice from behind. When she looked, she found that the man who had fallen out was hanging from a rope. To save him, she had to immediately move towards Tox, but due to the long distance, she failed even after several attempts. Then the man started shaking vigorously, but perhaps due to the excessive force, he screamed, and the next moment he disappeared, leaving only an empty rope. Jenny understood what this meant. She started thinking how a good experience turned into such a terrible situation. With time, the balloon started coming down slowly, but they found that they had come above the sea. For them, who did not know how to swim, jumping was also a question of death. When they were disappointed, Jenny saw that a window was moving towards them in the distance. Like for the next part, so that you can see it as soon as possible. And do not forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get instant notifications.